Hello, my name is Daniel Stillwell. I am the editor of the IFTA e-newsletter, and we have with us here today Ileana Ungureanu.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Close enough.
All right.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here. First off, I wanted you to be able to introduce yourself. Where are you from? What kind of therapist are you? And what does your work look like?
Sure. So my name is Ileana Ungureanu. I'm living in Chicago, and I'm also a professor of Governor State University. But if you wonder where my name is, it's from Romania. I'm originally from Romania. So I'm an assistant professor of Governor State University in the counseling program, specifically marriage, couples, and family counseling track. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist in Illinois. So in addition of my full-time job, which is teaching, I am seeing clients as well. You know, I work in a group practice and I have a small lot of clients. I'm EFT trained, emotionally focused therapy trained, and I see primarily couples, but also some individuals and sometimes families as well. Okay. My clients are usually clients that experience some sort of trauma, and they are coming now to therapy for it to work on it.
Okay, so you're here at the conference to actually present on something as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I actually just had my presentation.
Oh, well then,
I
you can
ended
give us
it a few minutes ago.
Detailed feedback.
Absolutely, yeah. So my presentation was on the social-cultural trauma of poverty and how it gets intricated into the couple dynamics. And specifically, the subject was about couples that do not necessarily experience poverty right now, but they are coming from being poor in childhood, for example. Right. And how that still plays a role in affluent couples by any definition, but people are still dealing with that, and especially dealing with the shame, the shadow of shame, I like to call it, that is coming from that time of their life where they were poor, and now a lot of of what they are doing, it is avoid being poor ever again.
Right.
And how that influences then, the couple.
So the tagline for your presentation was looking for the cheapest toilet paper.
For the cheapest toilet paper, exactly. Because I had the case that I used, it was a composite case. It was not only one case, but this actually comes specifically for somebody that was in that situation. Grew up poor, now by any means, being affluent, and one of the partners, was spending a lot of time in looking into what's the cheapest toilet paper that he can buy, because he could not, and it's funny, right? Because you say, I'm not letting any dollar goes down the toilet, right? I mean, in this case, very specifically,
literally.
Yeah, literally, exactly, that was happening. But that was the mentality which would take then from spending time and connecting with his partner. And she would be very upset about that and longing for connection with him, and not wanting him to be so doing only that, but also not understanding where that's coming from and how she feels abandoned, that all that cycle dynamic that can happen there.
Okay. It also sounds like you're talking about layers or issues of intergenerational trauma, intergenerational poverty, that type of thing as well.
Yeah, exactly. So that was one aspect, because like I said, it was composite, a composite case, but definitely that was one of the parts that we discussed, the intergenerational. It can come from intergenerational trauma. Some people experience poverty themselves, but for some others, they don't experience the poverty. It was something that happened, 3 generations behind, but it's still, that there is still that shadow of shame, right, that comes down transgenerationally. And what they are doing now, it is still using that strategy, which is orientation towards survival, as if they would live in the generation when there was poverty.
Okay, so when you work with couples, or when you think about working with couples, and one person has this scarcity mentality, the survival thing, and one person doesn't. How do you navigate that?
That's like I said, I'm working from an emotionally focused perspective. So we are working on that. We are looking at the emotions that the person that is working from the scarcity, like you said, perspective, to see where that is coming from. What's the emotion that comes up with that, and then what's the emotion that the other person, as a response, right, to what's happening with a partner, what is the emotion that comes from them? And sometimes, it can be, for example, a feeling of abandonment, right, of not being loved. You don't love me. You like money, more than you like me, right? And that's very, feels devaluing. Feels the other doesn't care about me. They just care to make money. And then you working and uncover, because that, for the partner, that comes from some place as well, right? Of maybe loss or being abandoned when they were children in different ways, even only more emotionally. So we are working on uncovering that. That's what the EFT model, comes into place and does.
Okay.
And help them understand each other. Yeah.
All right. So you just presented. Did you get any questions or feedback that would help nuance?
I think it was good. I mean, I like my presentations to be interactive, so I ask questions. I have people interacting. Asking questions. One of the things that I asked from the very beginning, since IFTA is international and it's truly international, I wanted to see where are people coming from, that are in the presentation, because poverty and social class is experienced differently in different countries, in different contexts, right? So we had people from Sweden, from Romania, actually. Somebody else, a bunch of people from the U.S. and somebody from Australia, for example. So we have people from different contexts that were able to talk about, a little bit about that, about, okay, so does this sound, something that is happening in your context, or it doesn't? I think personally, I do think that it is. That those underlying emotions that I'm talking about, those are more general. They are coming from different places, from different contexts, but the actual emotion is the same.
Well, and so much of this is contextual, because the shame of scarcity of the richest 1% might be similar to the shame of scarcity for the bottom 1%.
Right, yeah. But it's different, like you said, it's totally different, right? The context is very different.
Okay. Anything else from your presentation, or maybe your work in general, that you'd be interested in sharing?
I think one of the things that I would like to to say, it is this, that the fact that we are not talking about class that much. That was something that came up in the presentation as well. This shame, right, that we have about talking about class. It's kind of a taboo topic. And it's definitely taboo in the American society, but it is in different ways, in other contexts as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, shame and taboo, that's a trans-cultural issue. And so I think even just naming that as a dynamic, as a thing to pay attention to, hopefully reduces its power.
Yeah, that's my hope, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's end with a fun question. So you're from Romania, you're now in Chicago. Where, somewhere in between, do you like to visit that when you get a chance that you miss?
I know. That's a very good question. Actually, if I went there and I want us to go back, Hawaii, please.
Hawaii, okay.
Please.
All right. What did you like about it?
Oh my God, it was very nice. IFTA is always nice, no matter where it is. I mean, really, it's really nice. I'm not commenting on that, right?
Yeah.
But I was saying to everybody, it wasn't my first and only time in Hawaii, but I was saying, I tell people, Hawaii is the only place that looks better than in pictures, to me.
Nice.
It doesn't, a picture doesn't do, justice. Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for being here and sharing who you are and your story with everybody. So,
thank you for
Ileana, and thank you so much. We'll see you around.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk.